Hello student. So let's see the elbow joint. In Ayurveda, elbow joint it is called the Kurpar Sandhi. The type of the joint that is the hinge type of synovial joint. Then the articular surface. The articular surface that includes the lower end of the humerus which consists of the capitulum and the trochlea and the upper end of the radius and the ulna. Then these elbow joint it is also called the cubital articulation which includes the superior radio-ulnar joints, means that is the upper end of the radius and ulna where it is joined with each other, called the superior radio-ulnar joint. Then second joint, that is the capitulum of the humerus, it is joins with the upper end of the radius, so that is called humeroradial joint. And the trochlea of the humerus, it is joins with the trochlear notch of the ulna to form the humero-ulnar joint. So that is the three joints that should be included, and so that is called the cubital articulation. After then we should have to see that is the ligaments which is included into that the elbow joint. So it includes the following ligament. First, that is the capsular ligament. Second ligament, that is the anterior ligament. Third ligament, that is the posterior ligament. Fourth ligament, that is the ulnar collateral ligament. And the next ligament, that is the radial collateral ligament. So let's see the details of this ligament. So here in this diagram you can see that is the upper end of the radius and the upper end of the ulna, they should be joined with each other. So this one at this side, so that is called the superior radio-ulnar articulation or the joint. Second one, that is the capitulum of the humerus, it is joins with the upper end of the radius, so that is called humeroradial articulation. So here you can see. Then that is the trochlea of that the humerus, it is joins with the trochlear notch of the ulna to form the humero-ulnar articulation or the joint. So here, so that total articulation, it is called the cubital articulation. That is the superior radio-ulnar joint, the humero-radial joint and the humero-ulnar joint. So the first ligament, that is the capsular ligament. So here green color you can see that is the capsular ligament. So here that is the joint capsule in which that is the articular surfaces, they should be embedded. So the first ligament or the attachment of the capsular ligament, that is it is attached to that the lower end of the humerus which include that is the capitulum, the trochlea, the radial fossa, that is the coronoid fossa, and posteriorly to that the olecranon fossa, this one. Then inferomedially, so here in this diagram you can see it is attached to that the margin of the trochlear notch, this one. Then inferolaterally, so this is, it is attached to the annular ligament of the superior radio-ulnar joint. So here in this diagram you can see. Then the synovial membrane, this one, that is the internally, that is the synovial sheath or the synovial membrane, it lines the capsule and the fossae of that the joint. Then the second ligament, that is the anterior ligament, and the third ligament, that is the posterior ligament. So the anterior ligament, it should be present on anterior side, and this is the posterior ligament. So both ligament, it should be help the thickening of that the capsule. Then the next ligament, that is the ulnar collateral ligament, and as it is the name suggests, it is present at the ulna. So the attachment of the ulnar collateral ligament, so it is the triangular ligament, here you can see, and as it is triangular, so it has the apex and the base. So that is the apex, it is attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and it is base, so this one, it is attached to that the ulna. The ligament, it is thick at the anterior side and have the anterior band and have that is the posterior band. So here you can see this is the anterior band and this is the posterior band. Then so that is the anterior band and the posterior band, it should be attached to that the transverse band which is present here, oblique band or the transverse band, or that is also called the inferior band. So that is attached to the anterior and the posterior end of the oblique band. And this medial collateral ligament, it is crossed by that is the ulnar nerve, and it is also related with the flexure digitorum superficialis and the flexure carpi ulnaris and the tricep brachii muscle. The next ligament, that is the radial collateral ligament. So here you can see the radial collateral ligament. So the name suggests it should be seen like the fan-like structure and radially present. So it is the fan-shaped band which extending from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. So here to this annular ligament, that is the band or the fibers of this ligament, it should be spread a fan-wise direction, and that is attached to that the annular ligament which is embedded the head of that the radius, and from this it gives the origin of the supinator and extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. Then the relations of the elbow joint. So here you can see that is the capitulum, here that is the trochlea. This is the anterior side, so that is the anterior relation. These are the posterior relation, that is the medial relation, and that is the lateral relation. So let's see that is the anterior relations. So anterior relations that include the brachialis muscle, the medial nerve, the brachial artery, the tendon of the bicep, and the musculocutaneous nerve. The posterior relations that include the tricep muscle and the anconeus muscle, and the nerve related to that the anconeus. Then that is the medial relations. So medial relation that include the ulnar nerve, the flexure carpi ulnaris, and the common flexure origin, or the muscles of the common flexure muscle. Then the lateral relation. So the lateral relation that includes here, that is the common extensor origin, the extensor carpi radialis brevis, and that is the radial nerve, and it also included that is the supinator muscle. So these are the relations of the elbow joint. After then, let's see that is the bursa related to that the elbow joint. As you know, bursa, it is the fluid filled cavity which protects the structure present around that the joint. So there are four important bursa which are related to that the elbow joint. The two bursa, it is present on the posterior side of the elbow joint, and the two bursas, they are present in front of the elbow joint. So posterior bursa, that is related to that the insertion of the tricep muscle, and the anterior two bursa, that is related with the insertion of the bicep brachii muscle. So let's see first posterior bursa. The first bursa, that is the subtendinous olecranon bursa. So that is present here. So it is the small bursa present between, that is the tendon of the tricep and the upper surface of the olecranon process. So here that bursa may be present. That is the subtendinous olecranon bursa. Second, that is the subcutaneous olecranon bursa. So it is the large bursa, and as the name suggests, subcutaneous, so that should be present below to that the skin. So it is present between the skin and the subcutaneous triangular area on the posterior surface of the olecranon process. So here that bursa may be present. Then the third is the bicepito-radial bursa. So it is the small bursa which separate the bicep tendon from the smooth anterior part of the radial tuberosity. So here that is the bicipito-radial bursa may be present. And the last bursa, that is the small bursa which separated the bicep tendon from the oblique cord. So here in another diagram you can see. So here that is the oblique cord is present, and here that is the small bursa is present. So that is the fourth bursa of the elbow joint. Then the blood supply of the elbow joint. So it is supplied by the arterial anastomosis around the elbow joint by the branches of mainly the brachial artery, the radial artery, and the ulnar artery. Then the nerve supply of the elbow joint. So it is mostly supplied by, that is the median nerve, that is the ulnar nerve, radial nerve, and that is the musculocutaneous nerve. So these are the nerve supply to the elbow joint. Then that is the movement of the elbow joint. So as it is the hinge joint, so there are only two movements are formed into the elbow joint. First movement, so in this way, that is called the flexion. And the flexion, it is done by the muscles, that is the brachialis, the bicep brachii, and the brachioradialis. And opposite to it, whenever that is the hand is or the forearm is in straight position, so in this position, so it is called the extension of the elbow joint. And this extension, that is done by the muscle, that is the tricep muscle and the anconeus muscle. Next to it, that is the carrying angle. So that is the transverse axis of the elbow joint. It is directed medially and downward. So here you can see this is, that is the axis of the movement. So it is directed medially and the downwards, and because of this, that is the extended forearm, it is not straight line with the arm, but it should be makes the angle about the 13 degree with it, and this is called the carrying angle. So here in this diagram you can see, here that is the arm and this is the forearm. So it is not straight, but it should be forming the small angle. This is the vertical axis and this forming the angle. So that is called the carrying angle. And this carrying angle, it is mostly seen in or pronounced in the females. That is due to the wider carrying angle in the female, it avoids the rubbing of the forearm with the wider female pelvis. So here, you know, in the female, that is the pelvis is wider, so it should not be rubbed, so that the angle it is more in the female. And while carrying, whenever that is the hand is in working position, that is into the carrying of the loads, that is the bucket filled with the water from one place to the another, that the angle should be increases. So this angle, it is called the carrying angle of the elbow. After then, let's see that is the clinical or the applied anatomy. So first, that is the dislocation of the elbow. So the dislocation of the elbow, it is usually occurs on the posterior side, and it is commonly associated with the fracture of the coronoid process. The triangular relationship between the olecranon and the two humeral epicondyle, it is lost. So that is the dislocation of the elbow. Then the next clinical point, that is the subluxation of the head of the radius. So here you know that is the head of the radius, which is bounded by the annular ligament. So in children, when the forearm is suddenly pulled in the pronation, the head of the radius slips out from the annular ligament. So this clinical condition, it is called the subluxation of the head of the radius. Next clinical point, that is the tennis elbow. So the tennis elbow, it is commonly seen in the tennis player, and it should be occurs into that the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. So here, that is the pain, tenderness and the redness, it should be seen on the lateral epicondyle, and that should be occurs due to that the sprain of the radial collateral ligament or the tearing of the fibers of the extensor carpi radialis brevis. Then the next clinical point, that is the student's elbow. So here, or the student elbow, it is also called the Meniere's elbow, and in this, that is the effusion should be occurs into that the bursa over the subcutaneous and the posterior surface of the olecranon process, and students during the lecture they support their head for sleeping with their hands with the flex elbow, and the bursa on that the olecranon process it get inflamed, and because of it should be occurs that the elevation on the posterior side of the elbow joint. So it is called the student's elbow. Then next to it, that is the gopher elbow. So here, so the gopher elbow, it is the micro trauma of that the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and it is occurs commonly in that the golf player. So here, that is the pain, redness and the tenderness that should be occurs on the medial epicondyle of that the humerus. Then next to it, that is the clinical point that is related with, that is the carrying angle, and you know carrying angle, it is the 13 degree, it is normal, and if it should be more than the 13 degree, so this clinical condition here, that is the B position, it is called the cubitus valgus, and because of this the ulnar nerve which is present at this region, it may be stretched leading to weakness of the intrinsic muscle of the hand, and if that is the angle of the carrying angle, it is decreases or less, so this clinical condition it is called the cubitus varus. So here, cubitus varus condition, C number. Then the last clinical point related with that the elbow joint, that is the position of, that is the supination and that is the pronation. So here, that is the supination position, the radius and ulna they are parallel to each other, and during that the prone position or the pronation, that is the radius it should be crosses over that the ulna, and in the synostosis, that is the fusion of the upper end of the radius and ulna, that is the pronation, it is not possible, that is because of that the head of the radius and ulna it should be attached with each other, that is this radius it is not turned on the upper side of the ulna, so that is the pronation position cannot be occurs into that the synostosis condition. So these are the clinical points related with that the elbow joint.